In April of 2007, Addison Sewell was a bright, cheerful 14-year-old and an outstanding soccer player. But on a trip to the beach for a tournament, Addison noticed she was a little more tired than usual. Her sinuses also were bothering her. So when she returned home, her mom took her to the doctor. That visit turned out to be the beginning of a journey that would bring Addison to Children's Hospital and leave her fighting, at times, for her life.
I was headed to Montgomery for a meeting and got a phone call from Stephanie saying that one of Addison's tests was abnormal. I told Stephanie to go ahead and take Addison to Children's Hospital and do what the doctors told her, and then to call me later on. I arrived in Montgomery and went to my meeting, stayed for about 5 minutes. I jumped back in my car and raced back to Children's Hospital and was told halfway home, halfway to the hospital, that Addison was diagnosed with leukemia. And I immediately went to the hospital, ran in Clinic 8, and we all hugged.
We were beside ourselves. I mean, first shock, we couldn't believe it, and then just sadness, just total sadness, and just so terribly afraid. She goes immediately up to the 4th floor, and then they were going to take her into surgery for her port, and then she was going to begin treatment. She was not going home, and that treatment the first time was for 14 straight days. So that was the uproot of her whole family right then and there in a matter of 4 hours.
Acute myelogenous leukemia is is a rare form of cancer in childhood. It is the second most common type of acute leukemia in childhood, the most common type being acute lymphocytic leukemia. It is one which requires very intensive therapy.
Stephanie would stay each night with Addison in the hospital. Each night of her treatments, which there were roughly 6 or 8 total treatments, any one of them lasting 10 to 15 days.
Addison's therapy, however, would be interrupted by numerous complications from infections. When this occurred, she would be moved to the intensive care unit, where children's staff could closely monitor her condition. It was shortly after one of these lengthy ICU stays that she received a surprise visit. A visit that proved to be the spark Addison needed to inspire her recovery.
Addison was just in love with Grey's Anatomy. And when this happened, Addison didn't know anything about it. We did not tell her, because if it didn't happen, we didn't want her to be disappointed. So she had just gotten back out of intensive care and been put into a room, and she was weak and tired, and it was tough. But there was something in her eyes that just wasn't there that had been there previous. And it's as hard as it is, it was fearful for Hill and I to see that. We didn't want her to give up, and that's what we were seeing. So when all this happened and Patrick was able to walk in there, and it wasn't so much why he was in there, who was just a dream. He was so nice and spent so much time with her.
So when he left that day, her eyes kind of opened up. She was excited about getting through with the rest of these treatments.
In October of 2007, she completed her therapy, free of disease, and she's been free of disease since that time, so now 3.5 years.
We were so fortunate to have such an awesome hospital so close. But she's the love of our lives. She truly is, of everybody.